LP 2590, the Sullivan-Thompson Historic District. It's an approximately 157 building district that reflects the development of this portion of the South Village, primarily comprising of residential buildings, many with commercial storefronts, and including institutional buildings, largely constructed between the early 19th century and 1920.
Beginning in the 1960s with the creation of the Landmarks Preservation Commission, portions of the South Village and surrounding neighborhoods were designated as historic districts. The first of these was the Charlton King Van Dam Historic District, which was designated in 1966 and contains the city's largest concentration of federal-style row houses. In 1967, the McDougal-Sullivan Gardens Historic District was designated. The district consists of a small array of Greek Revival row houses. The Soho Cast Iron Historic District is a former manufacturing district that contains the world's largest collection of buildings with cast iron fronts. It was designated in 1973. In 2010, the Greenwich Village Historic District Extension 2 and the Soho Cast Iron Historic District Extension were designated. And in 2013, the northern portion of the South Village was designated as the South Village Historic District. That 250 building residential and commercial district is known for its immigrant heritage and bohemian history. This map shows the location of all the historic districts in the vicinity of the study area. This summer, in response to a request from the community, the research department undertook an extensive survey of the undesignated portion of the South Village, which was west of the Soho Cast Iron Historic District Extension and bounded by three major thoroughfares: Houston Street, 6th Avenue, and Watts Street. This area is a distinctive enclave within these existing districts. After extensive research that factored in building date, typology, and integrity, the Landmarks Preservation Commission is proposing a district within the red boundaries of this map. The proposed Sullivan-Thompson Historic District includes row houses, tenements, and commercial structures and institutions with streetscapes that illustrate the growth of the neighborhood from its origins as a residential row house neighborhood in the early 19th century to a vibrant mixed-use working-class neighborhood in the early 20th century. The neighborhood developed primarily from the 1810s through the 1830s as a residential neighborhood. Beginning in the 1860s, the neighborhood was transformed by immigration and an enormous increase in population. Many of the neighborhood's row houses were enlarged to accommodate several families, while others were demolished and replaced with tenement buildings. These early tenements were typically designed in Italianate and neo-brick styles. Tenement construction continued into the 1910s. Successive laws designed to improve the living conditions of immigrants led to construction in the neighborhood. The first occurred in the early 19th century and includes most of the neighborhood's row houses. The second occurred primarily after the Civil War and lasted until 1916. We determined that roughly 20% of the buildings were built prior to 1840. They were primarily federal row houses, which you can see on this map. Roughly 15% of the buildings date from 1841 to 1879, and these include the neighborhood's pre-law tenements. Approximately 20% of the buildings were built between 1880 and 1900, and these include the neighborhood's old law tenements. Almost 30% of the buildings were constructed between 1901 and 1916. This period includes the neighborhood's new law and reform tenements. After 1916, construction dropped off dramatically. Only one building was built between 1916 and 1944, and only 15% of the area's buildings were built after 1945. In addition to building date, we examined building typology for potentially contributing buildings in the district. As this map demonstrates, the district consists primarily of residential buildings with a few institutional and commercial buildings. The area's contributing residential buildings include row houses, tenements, and apartment buildings. There are 4 categories of tenement buildings within the proposed district: pre-law, old law, new law, and reform tenements. The neighborhood has several loft buildings, one building that was historically a stable, and a utility building which belonged to the Manhattan Railroad Company and is located on Spring Street. There are 2 categories of institutional buildings within the study area: religious and educational. These include the Church of St. Anthony of Padua, shown on the left, and St. Anthony's School on the right. One of the elements that shapes the streetscapes and the sense of place in this neighborhood are the large number of historic storefronts that exist in the proposed district. We counted approximately 2 dozen intact historic storefronts, and many others that retain historic elements. We felt that the historic storefronts were a defining characteristic of the neighborhood, and going forward, we plan on carefully documenting them and recognizing them in the Historic District Designation Report. The proposed Sullivan-Thompson Historic District includes row houses and tenements that represent approximately 100 years of construction and design. The Federal and Greek Revival row houses, early to reform tenement buildings, and rich collection of historic storefronts represent the special history of this neighborhood, from its origins as a residential row house neighborhood to a dynamic mixed-use working-class neighborhood in the early 20th century. Nestled between a number of major thoroughfares and designated historic districts, the proposed Sullivan-Thompson Historic District is a distinctive enclave that retains its unique sense of place. The staff recommends that the commissioners vote to calendar the Sullivan-Thompson Historic District. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirkman, for a really wonderful presentation. Are there any questions?
Do we have a listing of what we consider non-contributing buildings?
We've been looking at that, but I think we will be continuing to research that, and we'll be able to present something to you when we bring that for public.
Maybe a similar kind of question. Not knowing what exists on all those ins and outs, I presume that was looked at very carefully. Sometimes there's vacant lots, et cetera, that are excluded, and I'm just wondering whether any of those that you have artfully avoided, meaning any of those little out parcels.
If you're talking about the out parcels to the right, those are actually sort of an extension of the Sullivan boundary, several extension
I see.
boundaries.
So
it's quite seamless.
Terminal.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
All of this area is in the Soho cast iron extension,
Okay.
already designated.
All right. So, all right. Got it.
And then 6th Avenue is largely new construction.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Okay, I believe that our research department study and analysis has just made a very compelling and persuasive basis for the Commission to seriously consider this area as for designation as a historic district. And having lived here in this general neighborhood for the last 20 years and crisscrossing through this portion, It really is a very fascinating enclave, and I think it's the area's sort of geometric geography and its scale, its collection of period buildings and storefronts, along with its development, social and cultural history, I think provide the rationale and really highlights its significance to New York. And I think these aspects together, as Corinne mentioned, really do create a distinct sense of place that is recognizable and coherent and defined within these borders of Soho, Houston Street, 6th Avenue, and Hudson Square at the west. So I would recommend that we calendar this for historic district designation, and I make a motion to calendar this. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So the Southern Council Historic District is calendared. I just want to really thank the research team for doing excellent work. It was led by Corinne Engelbert. Other members were Sarah Moses, Jessica Baldwin, and Barrett Ryder, who are not here, and of course Lisa Kasavage, who's after working very, very hard at this agency, has finally taken vacation for a week. But she's brought all this, the team together, and it really is excellent, so I want to congratulate them.